And for anybody who doesn't know, these guys used to make a bunch of Season of Discovery videos, and then they pivoted to retail. So let me go and check this out, because they have a video where apparently they have played some exclusive big YouTuber only alpha. I mean, there we go. The Comeback Kids. We played the new Devourer Demon Hunter alpha exclusive first look. You're telling me you guys have early alpha, like super early alpha? No, there's no way.
It's official, ladies and gentlemen. We finally got our hands on the Devourer Demon Hunter in the Midnight Alpha. And let me tell you, this spec is insanely fun. It's a completely different gameplay style from anything else in the game right now. And today we're breaking it all down. The core abilities, how it all works, the strengths, the weaknesses, and everything else you need to know about this brand new spec. Also, ladies and gentlemen, do not forget to stick around until the end of the video to see how you can earn a free Epic Edition of World of Warcraft Midnight from the Comeback Kids.
Yo.
The fantasy of the Devourer Demon Hunter is all about feeding on enemy souls and twisting that essence into raw power. Unlike Havoc, where you're darting around, slashing with speed, or Vengeance, where you're absorbing heavy blows, Devourer feels darker. It's more methodical. It takes preparation, planning, and once you start consuming souls, you ramp up into a state that feels unstoppable. Now, getting into the core abilities and how this spec works, Devourer runs off of two primary resources, being Fury and Souls. Fury is still your basic builder-spender resource as a Demon Hunter, but Souls is your brand new Devourer-specific mechanic. You build these souls passively through damaging enemies in any way, shape, or form through shattering souls. You also generate souls by using your primary ranged filler ability called Consume, and your Devourer version spells like Soul Immolation and Void Ray. It's important to note that your Void Ray ability is something that you are using quite often, as it's your only way to spend your Fury resource. Not only does this feel really good to press in general, it has a super far range, and it generates you a ton of soul shards. Once you've got souls floating around, you can collect them with your other primary ability, which is called Reap. This has you pull out a giant scythe, you slash your target, and drag every soul toward you to consume. I will say early in a fight as Devourer, you will feel kind of weak, but as soon as you start hoarding up these souls, your power ramps up fast, because after you collect 50 souls, you unlock your major cooldown, Void Metamorphosis. When you enter Void Metamorphosis, your primary abilities are swapped with enhanced versions that deal extra damage, and your Fury resource will slowly drain from 100 down to 0. If your Fury reaches 0, you...
Dude, I'm not gonna lie, I'm looking forward to playing this spec class and spec, bro. I really am. This to me looks so cool, and also just the visuals. First of all, you have the spec itself. It looks cool to play, and looks like it has a fun mechanic of just like diving into combat, and then vengeful retreating out of combat, and then just being both a melee and a mid-melee or like mid-range at the same time, and just the visuals of the spells you're using, both the ones you're casting and the instant melee attacks as well. It all looks so cool to me, man. I can't wait to play this.
You will get knocked out of Void Metamorphosis form. The goal is very simple. It's to stay in this form as long as possible, as this is the spec's main offensive cooldown. You could juggle keeping up your Fury by using your casted Consume ability, and using Reap to give you Fury, as well as collect souls, which give you Fury per soul you collect. There are even a couple ways to halt your Fury regression entirely, which include using your commonly used Void Ray ability, as well as your one-shot nuke, the Collapsing Star. You're able to use the Collapsing Star in Void Metamorphosis after you've gained 30 soul shards during this window, and this is easily the most satisfying button to press in all of World of Warcraft at this point. After a short cast, you deal a massive amount of damage to enemies in an AoE, and it has a 25-yard range. The idea is that every Collapsing Star you use in Void Metamorphosis deals more damage continuously until your fury reaches 0 and you get knocked out of the void meta state. As a Devourer Demon Hunter, the gameplay loop is pretty straightforward. You build up souls, you go into void meta, and then you melt everything in sight while raining down collapsing stars. On paper, it looks like a 5-button spec, but once you dive into it, you realize there's a real big skill ceiling here. If you juggle it perfectly, you can stay in Metamorphosis for a very long time, but if you mess it up, you can get knocked out very quick and lose all of your momentum. It's very unique, it's flashy, and it feels like nothing else in all of World of Warcraft right now. Now, talents are where Devourer really starts to pop off. They take that simple 4-button core rotation and turn it into a spec with a ton of interactions. First up, the Entropy talent. This one jumpstarts your pull with 25 souls right out of the gate. I would say in Mythic Plus, that's going to be really good on that opening pull where you're trying to get into Void meta very quickly. You have everyone popping their cooldowns, Bloodlust, so it could get you into that easier. Plus, it gives you some extra soul fragments on the side. Next, you have the Waste Not talent, which makes your Void Ray spawn a ton of souls whenever you use it, which you're using quite often, by the way. But if you stack it with Void Glare Boon, which gives you a ton of fury after you fully channel the ability, Void Ray goes from just a basic spender to pretty much the backbone of your entire kit. You add the capstone that supercharges your next Reap after Void Ray, and suddenly Void Ray is pumping out souls.
The Reap ability looks so good as well, by the way. I am probably going to be a Demon Hunter main, I'm not gonna lie. I've never been one, at least I don't think so, but I think it's time. I hear the class calling to me.
It's giving you a ton of fury, and it gives you a nice 1-2 punch combo Reap with a massive AoE explosion all at once, which is nice. And speaking of Reap, you have talents also like Soul Shaper, which give it 8% more damage per soul that you bring into you. And a nice combo with this is the Moment of Craving, which lets you slam down 10 bonus souls in one single go. That's an instant 80% damage bonus Reap in an AoE fashion, which is simple, it's clean, and it feels satisfying, man. Finally, inside Void Metamorphosis, you also can unlock some talent bonuses like Dark Ultimatum, Impending Apocalypse, and the Capstone Emptiness talent, which basically turn you into a powerhouse inside of Void meta, which is what everybody really wants here. You get harder hitting abilities, constant collapsing stars, and even your own mini Bloodlust once you collect enough souls, which feels very fluid for the rotation. I will say, it took me some time to really get this spec down. Even though it may seem super simple on paper, there is a really big skill ceiling to how to properly manage your fury and be in Metamorphosis for as long as possible. To put it into perspective, at first I was getting like 2 collapsing stars off in one Metamorphosis, but after just a few hours of testing a bunch of different builds, I would end up getting over 5 collapsing stars off in one Metamorphosis, being in it for like over a minute and a half straight. The only reason I couldn't do more is because there would be times where it was bugging out, and it is the alpha, so I can very easily see with some proper stats, maybe a Bloodlust, you can be a Metamorphosis for 2-3 minutes straight, which can have you get a ton of collapsing stars off. With the brand new Annihilator hero talent tree, its main focus is by using your Consume ability and your Void Ray ability to gain stacks of what is called Void Fall. Now, once you reach 3 stacks of Void Fall, it would make your next Reap ability, which is the Scythe ability, call down meteorites to deal AoE damage after you use it. Not only that, this hero talent tree, it's all about having you generate more soul shards and fury, which of course turns its primary focus into being all about being in Metamorphosis as long as possible and dealing more damage with shattering stars. So if you love nuclear shattering stars, tossing them across the map for big damage, and meteors flowing around everywhere, this is the hero talent tree for you. You also have the Fellscarred hero talent tree, which did get some sort of a rework. This spec seems more like the single target pure raid build option, where its primary focus is on the hunt, and your other filler ability, which is Void Blade. Both of these are on really long cooldowns, but what's nice is that once you enter Metamorphosis, you actually get both of them reset, and they turn into enhanced versions of themselves.
Okay, not sure why it's like pausing there, and is there something about my internet? The stream is okay, right? Let me just go into OBS here. Yeah, no, we're fine. Let me just quickly refresh the video and try to get back. I hate it when my YouTube does that sometimes, dude. Pretends as if my internet is gone when it really isn't. Right. We are back.
Feels a lot better personally. Now, of course, I'm no expert on this spec yet because I do have a long way to go, but going off of some of the biggest strengths, I can tell you that this spec is going to be an absolute powerhouse in the right hands in high-end versions of content. Really high-end Mythic Plus keys and even Heroic and Mythic rating where the fights are long and the on-demand damage is greater, this spec is going to pop off. Also, one of my favorite things is how simple the kit can feel and how there's absolutely no button bloat going on here. Within the entirety of its kit, you probably have like 4 to 5 buttons that you use in your rotation, which I surprisingly ended up enjoying. Also, the spec has really good gameplay variety between both these hero talents, which is a good thing for rating and Mythic Plus as well. Moving into some of the weaknesses though, right off the bat, for sure the biggest weakness is that it takes a long time for this spec to ramp up and get going in terms of damage. I know for a fact on those very first polls in Mythic Plus where everyone's going to be blowing all their cooldowns and dealing a bunch of damage, you're going to get left in the dust for a second until you get up and running. So in terms of Mythic Plus and keys, doing low-end content is probably not going to be great for this spec because it does have a really long ramp window, and unless you get good value out of it, you're going to be in trouble. I also think this spec does require a good amount of skill. It's not one of those specs where you're going to go in and think just because they have a couple buttons, you're going to use them and everything's going to be great. This spec is all about proper timing and usage of abilities during a right window, which could be a problem for some players out there. When it comes to comparing this spec on how it feels, it doesn't really feel like any other spec in the game right now. It reminds me a mix of like current Fire Mage and old Shadow Priest where they had the Surrender to Madness windows and you're trying to stay in that for as long as you can. It's a very unforgiving spec. If you don't know what you're doing, there is a really big skill expression here, so I would say it's a really, really unique. Overall, yes, the Devourer Demon Hunter feels like one of the most fresh and bold specs Blizzard has ever made. It's very flat.
Yeah, like, based on what I'm seeing here, plus what I've read about the spec myself, it looks so cool, man. I can't wait to play. That's like what I'm gonna say. I can't wait to play the spec. Because to me, it looks super, super, super cool. And also, I like the visuals once again. I like the gameplay. I like the loop of the gameplay. And just the way the class plays in general. And also, the visuals of the spells. And the visual of what the character looks like in Metamorph and stuff. I don't know, like, to me this is super cool. And the scythe as well, the scythe ability, oh man.
Flashy with awesome animations, real awesome sound design, a standout in terms of class theme for the Midnight expansion. I'm calling it right now. This is going to be one of the better specs at the launch of the expansion. But hey, it is just the first look, and I only got one question left to ask you all, ladies and gentlemen. Is this spec for you? Is it something that you can see yourself maining or even trying out this expansion? Let me hear about it in the comments section below. And remember, me and Lance are deep in the Midnight Alpha, so if there's anything you want us to cover next or test out for you all, drop it down in the comment section below. We've got a lot more content coming your way, including a full breakdown of the biggest class overhauls and changes so far in Midnight. Also, don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, the Comeback Kids are doing a Midnight Epic Edition giveaway, so click the link in the description below and follow some of our other platforms, including TikTok, Instagram, and X. We are doing a new social media campaign push. We would greatly appreciate it, and for that, we will reward you with potentially the awesome Midnight Epic Edition prize from the Comeback Kids. Hey everybody, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the content, consider subscribing or check out one of the videos you see on screen here to stay up to date on all things Warcraft. My name's Sky for the Comeback Kids. It's an absolute pleasure to make content for you all. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.
That was a good video, by the way. Really good overview and, overview of the Devourer class, yeah? I was gonna check something real quick while they are here. No, it's... okay. Damn. Damn, dude, they're doing a giveaway? The Comeback Kids Midnight Epic Edition giveaway. Damn, dude, alright. That was a good video once again, and I can't wait to play that spec, by the way. I also just want to say, I've made my first Legion remix video, and it's up on my channel now. For anybody watching the stream, if you're interested in Legion remixing, there's a video on my channel right now about it. Either way, once again, very good video, and I'm happy to have seen a little bit of the gameplay before I'm playing it myself, because, like, I'm hopefully getting into the alpha soon-ish, trademark, and then I can try it out as well.